Hey guys, I am happy to announce that this is our last Monday doing GPP videos for you in my swole hole. But we still got 4 days left of programming where we're still working out at home, and then we're going to be at the gym together. Anyway, I wanted to go over this week's programming for you. Today is Monday, max effort lower. So I'm going to go over all of these movements for you guys today and see how you can modify or change them. So today's workout. Max effort lower. We start with a 2-rep max sumo. You'll notice on the spreadsheet it says banded. If you have bands, I'm going to show you how to do that. And then your accessory is some lunges. Your Metcon is some rowing or running and some cleans. And then we have seated leg lifts for our finisher as well. Okay. So with your 2-rep max sumo, after you've done your general warm-up, since you are going to be using your glutes and your hamstrings, I would definitely do some sort of lower opener. Whether we have our legs wide, leaning forward, holding a plate, making sure we're forward, and making sure we get our hamstrings engaged. We've done that in class before, or even those sissy squats that we've done, and I've showed you last week, we can do those as well, okay? So I have, once you've done all of that and you're ready for your 2-rep max sumo, a couple different things to remember with your sumo deadlift, okay? Your sumo deadlift, everybody's sumo deadlift stance is going to be a little bit different. Some of you may be a little more narrow. Some of you may be a little more wide. Now, the way to determine where your sumo deadlift stance is going to be is if you start to pull and your knees start to cave in or are inside of your toes, then it's going to be too wide. You want to make sure you get narrow enough, or your stance is where it needs to be so your knees can still track over your toes. You don't want your legs to collapse inward, okay? So find your sweet spot. The other thing, your hand placement. A lot of people, if they know of sumo deadlift high pulls, they want to put their hand that thumb distance and then pull from here. Well, if that's super comfortable for you, you're more than welcome to do that. But what I like to do is split the difference between the smooth and gnarly part. Obviously, your hands need to be inside of your legs. You don't want a sumo deadlift. That's just really a snatch grip sumo deadlift. And I don't even know if that's a thing. So hands on the inside of your legs, okay? You can use a mixed grip or a double overhand grip. I like to mix grip. Time and place for everything, okay? So when you sumo deadlift, make sure we bring our hips down. It's almost going to be like a sumo squat, okay? Our shins are still going to be vertical. You don't want them way over your toes, okay? Shins are still vertical. The thing with the sumo deadlift is I want you to think of wedging your hips underneath the bar. So hips are down, back is flat, big inhale. I'm going to push through the floor and wedge my hips underneath, okay? We never want the barbell hovering out in front, okay? One more time. Here, wedge my hips underneath, okay? We want to get those hips underneath as quick as possible, especially as it starts to get heavy. Now, the fact that you're doing a 2-rep max sumo deadlift, it does not have to be touch and go. A lot of times in CrossFit, we do touch and go things. Typically, unless it says touch and go, I want you to reset in between each one. So you guys will be resetting. Now, if you have bands, I only have this band and then my really thin band over there. But you can set this up a variety of different ways, and we have done it a bunch of different ways in class before. The easiest way is to take your band, crisscross it under one foot and then under the other. Okay, it takes a little bit of setup. Make sure it's right in the middle of your bar, but there you go. You're going to have tension at the top. Same thing. 2-rep max sumo. Make sure you recover enough between each attempt. There's no reason for you guys to do more than 10 attempts for a sumo deadlift, okay? So your next little piece for your accessory is front rack lunges. Now, you have 3 sets of 16, and these are 16 steps, so it's really 8 each leg. Now, the cool thing with these is you guys can pick your poison as far as front rack. If you want to use your barbell and get in a front rack position and do walking lunges, if you have the capacity to do that, you can do reverse lunges if you're kind of in a small confined space like myself, or you can do forward lunges and back. Completely up to you. Now, the goal with it, as with the goal with most of our accessory, is to kind of max out for the day on our accessory, because they're typically going to be either more isolated movements. It's not going to tear up your body like some of our main lifts. So it's okay to go heavy on those, and that's where you can really push the weight. So with your front rack lunges, 3 sets of 16 steps, go ahead and increase weight each set, okay? Make sure that back knee touches each time. Also make sure when you do your lunges, they're not narrow steps, okay? Make sure you actually use your hamstrings, big steps, and push off that back leg, okay? All right, so your Metcon is 3 rounds of a 500-meter row if you got a rower. If you don't, it's just a 400-meter run, okay? Into 15 cleans. Now on your spreadsheet, it says stone or sandbag cleans. If you have a stone or sandbag, do it. If you don't, just do regular barbell cleans or do dumbbell cleans or do kettlebell cleans. You're going to do 12 of them, and then you're going to finish with another 500-meter row or 400-meter run. This is interval work. So it says 3 rounds, but you're going to rest between each one. I believe on the spreadsheet, it says rest 1 minute between each one. So your goal for each of these rounds is to make sure that it's pretty much the same time. You don't want to go balls to the wall that first round and then completely crash and die the next 2 rounds, okay? So have fun with that. Last but not least, for your finisher, don't neglect your finisher. I'm guilty of it. I say I do my finisher probably 65% of the time. Don't neglect your finisher. I'm preaching to the choir here. So your finisher today is 75 seated leg lifts, okay? So with seated leg lifts, both legs are going to be out in front, straight, toes pointing toward the ceiling. Your hands are going to be in front of your hips, not behind, in front of your hips, ideally even closer towards your knees, okay? You will use those for balance and to kind of push off of. From here, you're going to lift both feet. Okay, you will feel this primarily in your hip flexors, but it's also going to be a lower core exercise as well. These are going to be hard. If you can barely get them off the ground, you can go ahead and slide your hands back just a little bit, just so you can lean back a little bit. But you don't want to be back here lifting them up. If you can't get both feet up at the same time, then go ahead and alternate. Okay. All right. That is your max effort lower for today. Just think next week we will be max effort lowering at the gym. Yeah. All right. If you guys have any questions, shoot me a text to 540-421-2758. Have a great Monday, guys.